into every meeting across every time zone, onto every screen. What if the messy, magical, free form creativity of a physical whiteboard didn't have to stop when the meeting ended or when the room emptied? That's exactly the problem Miro set out to solve. And they didn't just digitize the whiteboard, they reimagined it. They turned it into a massive, infinite canvas, one that lets you brainstorm, map system, plan roadmaps, and run workshops all in real time from anywhere in the world. No markers, no erasers, no limits. But more importantly, they turned it into a collaborative space, a place where teams from different cities, countries, and departments could think together, where visuals replaced text-heavy docs, where ideation wasn't locked in a boardroom. It was unlocked on the web. In the process, Miro became more than a whiteboard replacement. It became a visual operating system for modern work, a shared brain for distributed teams. From two-person startups to global giants like Dell, Cisco, and Deloitte, Miro found its way into daily rituals, stand-ups, product roadmaps, workshops, and onboarding flows. It didn't just replace a tool, it became a habit. But how did that happen? How did a simple idea, turning sticky notes and scribbles into pixels, turn into a multi-billion-dollar platform? How did Miro go from a scrappy utility to a foundational pillar of remote and hybrid work? And what can today's builders learn from this success? This isn't just a story about whiteboards. It's a lesson in building tools that feel like places, spaces where collaboration just doesn't happen, but thrives. Let's unpack how Miro drew its way into the future of work. Before Miro, collaboration looked physical. Whiteboards, sticky notes, chaplains, conference rooms filled with squiggles, brainstorming maps, mind dumps, and rough frameworks. There was a magic to it. Real-time energy, shared space, rapid ideation. Everyone in the room scribbling, pointing, reacting. But there were major limits. First, the whiteboard was anchored, literally stuck to one wall in one room. If you weren't there, you missed out. If you had an idea at midnight or across the globe, so bad. And even if you were there, once the session ended, the magic disappeared with the wipe of a cloth, or maybe lived on as a blurry photo in someone's phone gallery. There was no conversation, there was no version history, no search, no linking, tagging, or a sync contribution. Ideas faded fast. Then came digital tools, but none of them were built for free-form collaboration. You had documents and slideshows, project boards and spreadsheets, maybe a sketching app if you were lucky, but none of them captured the visual fluidity, the chaos, and the creativity of a real whiteboard. They were structured, rigid, or painfully slow. Microsoft launched Whiteboard. Google created Jamboard. But they often felt like the side project, laggy, underfeatured, rarely loved. And then remote work exploded. The COVID-19 pandemic didn't just shift where we work, it shattered the idea that innovation had to happen in a room. Teams still needed to brainstorm. Founders still needed to plan. Designers still needed to map flows. Suddenly, the old tools weren't just inconvenient, they were obsolete. That's when a huge opportunity emerged. The world needed a whiteboard that wasn't physical, wasn't siloed, and wasn't just digital for the sake of being digital. It needed to be native to the new reality of distributed async hybrid teams. It needed to feel alive, collaborative, and visual without sacrificing structure. This was the gap Miro walked into. And instead of spin the old whiteboard, they reinvented it. Miro didn't just want to bring whiteboards online. It wanted to rethink how teams collaborate visually from the ground up. The vision was bold but simple. Create a canvas so intuitive, so flexible, and so expansive that it could become the go-to space for ideation, planning, mapping, and innovation in a hybrid world. And it started with one powerful idea: the infinite canvas. Instead of a fixed whiteboard or a single screen, Miro offered an endless workspace. Zoom in to plan product futures, zoom out to visualize entire systems, place stickers, diagrams, and mind maps and frameworks all in the same place. That design decision broke barriers. It removed the artificial constraints of slides or documents. Teams could finally think big, literally, and follow tangents without losing structure. But the white space alone wasn't enough. Miro built in real-time multiplayer collaboration. Multiple people could draw, type, comment, and drag items around simultaneously. It was Google Docs energy for visuals, and that made it instantly familiar and powerful. Suddenly, workshops weren't passive, they were interactive. Brainstorms weren't one person writing ideas, everyone was involved. The experience felt alive. And to make that experience accessible to anyone, Miro rolled out a template library. These weren't just blank canvases. They were structured, battle-tested frameworks for agile planning, designs, customer journeys, retrospectives, stakeholder mapping, and more. This meant teams didn't start from scratch. They started with momentum. It empowered people, not just to use the tool, but to think better with it. And Miro made sure it didn't live in a silo. The platform integrated deeply with tools that teams were already using: Jira for engineering, Zoom for meetings, Slack for messaging, Notion for docs, Figma for design. These integrations meant Miro became part of your workflow, not another app you had to check. The result: Miro didn't feel like a tool you used once a week. It felt like a place, a shared brain for teams, a digital room you could walk into, pick up a marker, and start building ideas together. Even better, it scaled. From tiny startups to enterprise giants, Miro's architecture supported everything from quick planning sessions to product development life cycles. Its strength wasn't just in features, it was in focus on workflows, on frictionless entry, on empowering visual thinkers, and on building a product that made people feel like collaborators, not users. That's the genius of Miro. It didn't just replicate a whiteboard, it evolved it. Miro didn't just grow because it was a great tool. It grew because it was inherently shareable. Every board, every brainstorm, every workshop, every cluster of sticky notes and diagrams was an opportunity to pull someone else in. Just like Google Docs, a single link was all it took. One click and you were inside a live visual workspace with your team. And you didn't need a tutorial to understand the value. You saw teammates moving elements, typing comments, dragging post-its in real time. You felt the energy. That aha moment wasn't taught, it was experienced. That's what made Miro viral. It wasn't about marketing, it wasn't about invite. When one person used it, they needed others to join. When one team used it, when one team adopted it, they pulled in cross-functional partners. It created a viral loop, built directly into the product. Templates supercharged it. Miro offered a robust, ever-growing library of built-in templates, but then it opened the gates to the community. Designers, facilitators, PMs, they all started creating and publishing their own frameworks. These weren't locked down, Slack and knowledge bases. That content became distribution. You didn't just hear about Miro, you saw it in action. In UX guides, screens recaps, onboarding docs, and every time someone copied a board, they didn't just engage, they became a creator. This was bottom-up SaaS done right. One facilitator uses Miro for a workshop. The team loves it. They start planning projects on it. Then leadership joins strategy sessions. Then HR uses it for onboarding, and suddenly, without a single cold email, an entire org is using Miro daily. That's network effect in action. The more people joined, the more valuable the board became. Teams worked faster, communication improved, alignment tightened, and soon Miro wasn't just useful, it was indispensable. And because it wasn't tied to a specific function, it scaled horizontally across product, design, engineering, marketing, ops, even finance. That's how Miro turned a single canvas into a platform, a place where collaboration doesn't just happen, it compounds. Building legacy tools isn't just about features, it's about becoming a habit. That's exactly what Miro did. Before Miro, whiteboarding meant one of the three things: standing in a room scribbling on a physical board, fumbling through PowerPoint to mock up diagrams, or opening tools like Microsoft Whiteboard only to find them slow, clunky, and isolated. Miro flipped the script. It wasn't just digital, it was fluid. It felt alive. You could create, zoom, map, brainstorm, and notate all without limits. No lags, no learning curve. It turned the chaotic beauty of whiteboarding into something you could build on. That feeling created loyalty. It started with entry point use cases, brainstorming, sprint retros, and wireframes. But then people used it for OKRs, for onboarding flows, for customer journey mapping, for stakeholder alignment, for daily stand-ups. Each use case made it stickier. Each moment of value made it harder to replace. That's the key to habit building. Repeat value in repeatable workflows. Miro understood this, so it didn't stay silent. It integrated into the tools teams already used. Confluence, Jira, Notion, Zoom, Slack. You could embed a Miro board in a doc, link to it in a ticket, collaborate live inside a meeting. It blurred the line between tool and process. This made Miro feel less like a tool and more like infrastructure. You didn't open it for a session. You started there. You became the visual center of the team. Meanwhile, legacy tools stumbled. Jamboard lacked power and was eventually sunset. Lucidchart was structured but felt overly technical. Microsoft Whiteboard was buried deep in Microsoft ecosystem, available but invisible. Miro wasn't buried, it was everywhere. Shared in links, embedded in wikis, shown in presentations, cited in strategy docs. It visibly fueled usage. Its utility fueled love. And over time, something powerful happened. Teams build muscle memory around Miro. No more should we use it, just let's drop this into the Miro board. That's when you know a product has made it, stops feeling like a tool and becomes the place where work lives. Miro's rise wasn't accidental. It's the result of getting a lot of big things right. First, the product experience. Miro is just fun to use. It's fast, smooth, and beautifully intuitive. You don't need onboarding videos to get started. You just open a board, drop a sticky, drop a box, and you're moving. That ease of use combined with visual freedom makes it feel like a creative playground, but one that scales to strategy, planning, and execution. Second, Miro understood the shift in team dynamics. The modern team isn't always in the same room or even the same time zone. Miro didn't resist that. It leaned in. It wasn't just remote friendly, it was remote native. That made it a perfect fit for hybrid, distributed, and async teams. And when the world went remote, Miro was already there. Third, platform thinking. Miro didn't stop at building a team. Miro didn't stop at building a tool. It built a platform, a growing library of templates, a plugin ecosystem, public boards, deep integrations, APIs. It created a place where teams could customize and scale their workflows without leaving the canvas. So what can today's builders learn from Miro? Lesson 1. Build for behavior, not buzz. Miro didn't jump on hype cycles. No AI gimmicks, no blockchain experiments. Instead, it solved a timeless pain: the messy visuals, collaborative nature, or creative thinking at how people actually work, and build for that, not for headlines. Lesson 2. Make collaborative native. Miro wasn't a single player tool with sharing tagged up. From day one, it was multiplayer. Every board was alive with sensors, ideas, and interaction. That made it more than a whiteboard. It made it a space where teams could meet, think, and move together. Lesson 3. Start with structure, allow freedom. Templates helped new users get started fast, but Miro didn't restrict them. Boards were endlessly customizable. That tension between pattern and possibility is what made the platform useful for everyone from agile coaches to designers to executives. Lesson 4. Integrate, don't isolate. Miro didn't ask teams to adopt new behaviors. Integrating with Jira, Zoom, Slack, Notion, and Confluence, Miro made itself invisible until it was indispensable. Lesson 5. Treat your tool like a space. Today's tools aren't just utilities, they are environments. Miro felt like a room, a shared workspace. That shift from product to place is what helped it build habits. People don't just use Miro, they go into Miro. Lesson 6. Invest in education. Great tools don't wait for users to figure them out. Miro offered tutorials, certifications, templates, webinars, and community content. It taught people how to think better, and that created loyalty. Lesson 7. Simplicity scales. Miro does a lot, but it feels simple. That's not an accident, that's design. And in a world where users are overwhelmed with features, simplicity isn't a constraint, it's a competitive edge. Miro won because it was useful, relentlessly so. It gave teams a canvas big enough for their biggest ideas and made it feel effortless to feel. It turned collaboration from something you schedule to something you just do. It made the whiteboard infinite, and in doing so, it made itself essential. But Miro's rise wasn't just about product features, it was about insight. It was how teams were changing, how distributed work was evolving, and it built for present, not just a digital version of the past. That's the real takeaway. If you're building something today, don't just digitize what already exists. Reimagine it. Stretch the format. Design for today's behavior, not yesterday's processes. The best tools aren't just replacements, they are revelations. They show us what's possible when limitations are removed, when creativity and structure don't compete, when collaboration happens on purpose and with purpose. Miro did that with a canvas, a cursor, and a belief that work can be more visual, more fluid, and more connected than ever before. Thank you for watching. If this gave you new ideas, hit like, leave a comment, and subscribe for more stories about products, shaping, and future of work.